Welcome, everyone, to another episode of I Am Christina DiArcangelo. And I am so excited and I am so honored today to have Andy Jacob on the show to talk a little bit about Andy Jacob, because most of the time, Andy Jacob is on my side of the production and he's doing the interviewing. So I thought it would be important to share with all of you guys, the viewers and the listeners, who Andy Jacob is and what he does. Andy, thank you for coming on to my show. How are you today?
Wow, Christina, thank you so much for having me on the show. Of course, what you're doing at Affinity is absolutely remarkable. And I'm a little uncomfortable talking about myself, but yeah, let's go. This is going to be a lot of fun. And you're so easy to talk to. You have such a great energy. And when I interviewed you on the DotCom Magazine show, it was such a great interview. And here I am on your show. So let's go.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. This is why I wanted to have you on, because usually I've been always being interviewed, right? And my production team came to me last year in June and said, okay, CD, we think you're ready to do your own show. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, I don't know if people are going to want to listen. And they're like, no, do it. So I did. And here we are today, almost a year later. And I get to talk to you. And I have to say, being on your show through DotCom Magazine was one of the best interviews I've ever had in my entire career. And I've been interviewed for how many years? I mean, over 2 decades. I got to tell you, it was magical. The way we were just going back and forth, it was non-scripted, just like this is. And I just wanted you to have the opportunity for you to talk about yourself and why you do what you do and the joy that you bring to people's hearts and the fact that you have a movement. You are involved in so many different things and you get to talk to all these different amazing people from all walks of life. It's not just biotech pharma people like myself. You've talked to Shark Tank people, all kinds of people. So let's talk about you, Andy. Tell us, how did you start?
Wow, Christina, what a great question. You and I really hit it off. We have a remarkable and unique sort of passion for animals and for dogs. And we love biopharmaceuticals and technology, and it was a great interview. So, when we started DotCom Magazine, we wanted to put together a platform, Christina, where we could interview very interesting CEOs and founders of leading companies throughout the world. And, we set it up like any sort of minimal viable product as a good entrepreneur should. And we sort of put the word out there a little bit, and then all of a sudden the gates came open and, here we are interviewing so many important CEOs and founders that are making such great impacts throughout the world. It's been so much fun. I get to interview people and listen to their story. And, my wife tells me I don't listen very well, but when I'm on the interviews, I listen very well, Christina. So that's what we do at DotCom Magazine.
It's very clear that you do listen very well. So we've got to at least remind your wife that there's certain times that you have your listening cap on. And there's just certain times that, you kind of fade out. Everybody does it. I mean, I do it.
Yeah, it's so funny that you said that. When you're interviewing someone like you're interviewing me right now, you really need to be locked in because there's so much great information coming out, hopefully. And the types of guests that we have on the show, as they're people that are very accomplished in, the most part. We do have startup founders as well that are working their way through. Maybe they're trying to figure out, let's say, the big problem with passwords using blockchain technology, and they're working out of their kitchen table at their home. But we also have CEOs and founders running NASDAQ companies and everybody in between, people that are changing the fabric of medicine, people that are doing great technology. Of course, we have marketing people and salespeople on the show as well, because we find that so fascinating, because when you're in business, you need to sell something to somebody.
That's right.
Christina, it's so interesting. We talk to startup founders, and when we do a pre-interview, they're so passionate about their technology that sometimes they forget to talk about their customers. How are they going to get a paying customer? What are they going to do for their customer? What are they going to do to make their customer excited about their offering? What are they going to do to stay in touch with their customer and provide the world-class service that their customer expects and deserves? So it's so interesting when we talk to so many CEOs that really get it. Yeah, they may be in a technology business. They may be in a patient advocacy business like you. They might be doing some bio work like you've done over the past 20 years. But at the end of the day, we're all doing this work so that we can provide something to the end user that's going to be remarkable and world-class.
I love that. And one of the other things that I think you do an amazing job at, and we as CEOs don't do a good enough job with this, and this is something that I locked in with you that I really appreciated, which was like another value add to us CEOs being on your show, is to talk to us from the human perspective, right? Because look, people know who Andy Jacob is based on your .com show, right? Everybody knows you. Everybody knows who you've had on, who you've interacted with over the years. But who is Andy Jacob, really? That's a question I'm sure you don't get asked very often because you're always on my side of the table. And that's something that I would love for you to answer for me, for my podcast. I almost called myself CD. But you did that for me, Andy, where you got me to talk about things that necessarily I don't always speak about in public. And I felt as though you were able to really drill down to who I am as a human and why I do what I do in biotech advocacy and tech. And that's really important. And I think that's something that is different about your show, say some of the others that I've been on. I mean, that's something that I really, really appreciated about being on your show.
Well, thank you, Christina. We always like to ask our entrepreneurs about what it takes to get through a tough time, what it takes to get through a pothole in the road, because as entrepreneurs, whether we're CEOs or founders or startup founders as well, we always have tough times. I mean, they happen to us as entrepreneurs. It's to be expected. I mean, one of the definitions of entrepreneurship, in my mind, is you keep on pushing, you're going to skin your knees and get up off the ground and keep on going, right, Christina?
Right, absolutely. Because I remember being on your show and my guys pulled out the clip that said, with every greatness, there's always a fall. And that being an entrepreneur, that happens time and time again. It doesn't matter how seasoned you are with whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're making widgets or you're solving a pandemic crisis, for example. We're all doing something wherein we do have failings, but we learn from them and we rise again. It's that action of coming back up, I think, that's most important.
Yeah, and you've done that so great throughout your career. Obviously, your success is, really immeasurable. And when we think about entrepreneurs, we think about thoughts, speech, and action. As entrepreneurs, we need to think things through. We need to spend time thinking about things and looking at all the different possibilities with our thoughts. And of course, playing 3D chess about our business and the way in which we're going to go about proceeding in our business. So everything starts with those thoughts, and you want to have those good, positive, can-do thoughts, which of course you've become very famous for. And I like to think that, I've learned throughout the years that it's much better to have a can-do attitude than a can't-do attitude. As a matter of fact, as you know in the show, we always talk about that because when we raise children, the best thing you can teach them is to have a can-do attitude versus a can't-do attitude. So as entrepreneurs, everything starts with your thoughts. And then from the thoughts comes your speech. So after you've thought it through, you have to be able to articulate your thoughts in a meaningful way so that people can then, feel what you're thinking and understand through your speech in a way that resonates for them. And then after you have your thoughts and speech, you have to have your action. And that's really taking everything you've thought about, everything you've spoken about, and then turning it into something that's viable, turning it into something that works, turning it into something that you're not afraid to pivot if you need to. You're not afraid to make changes constantly if you need to. And as a matter of fact, as entrepreneurs, we know that you constantly need to evolve, constantly need to change. So as entrepreneurs, we always talk about those thoughts, speech, and actions, and how ultimately that leads to just a nice, neat package that you keep on moving forward. And really, that's, I think, when you ask what I'm about, I think that's the answer. I mean, I just love talking to people. I love learning so much. I surround myself with people that are a lot smarter than I am, and I reach out to them all the time. And I'm able to sort of put myself in the position of being mentored by some very powerful people. And then, of course, we want to pay that forward like you do in your life, to mentor others to help them be able to move forward in their lives and in the pay it forward mentality. So that's what it's all about. And that's what I hope I'm able to get across at DotCom Magazine with the entrepreneurs that we interview.
I think, in my opinion, it definitely comes across. Like, I had, like, with my interview, I keep bringing this up, but I mean, it's true. I think my viewers and listeners will tell you, I don't lie, like there's no reason to lie. And I wouldn't bring it up if I didn't feel strongly about it. But that was one of the things that I really embraced with your interview with me, was that, what were the lessons that I was providing in my interview? What were the elements of vulnerability that I shared with you and all of your viewers about myself? And also the lessons that we learned along the way. And you brought up a great point about being entrepreneurial, in nature, like we're born this way, kind of, and a lot of us that are very successful have various things that could have been an impediment. So why I say that is, I was talking to my sister about this yesterday, actually. So I've been very candid about the fact that I am ADHD, right? I have ADHD, and I'm highly functioning ADHD. And so instead of looking at that as a negative, my son has it as well. So this is great because I can show him better than I could tell him that just because you have ADHD does not mean that you're not going to be successful. As a matter of fact, I feel as though I'm better in my jobs because I have ADHD, and I'm constantly pivoting throughout my head to get things done. Now, does it drive people crazy? Yes, of course it does, especially my teams that are across, like some of my teams are across multiple teams together, like my head of PR, who you met, Mike Major. He works across everything, right? So they've kind of learned, if you will, how my brain fires, and they're ready for it now, So instead of being sad about the fact that I have ADHD and complaining about it, it's again ties back to the can-do attitude that you brought up so eloquently. That is the can-do attitude. I can do this. I will do this. I will make something out of this, right? And I will remove the emotion from it. And once I remove the emotion from it, I can succeed.
Yeah, I love it so much. We talk about it on the show so often, that corporate culture starts at the top. And when we think about the leadership style that you have and your leadership at your various companies, I mean, it comes through. It comes through that, you believe, and it comes through that, hey, yeah, we're going to give you the best opportunity to, take advantage of our world-class offering. But at the same time, we're human, and we're here for you, and we want to be here for you, and we want to make you a true partner. And that really comes through as an entrepreneur. If you really just are in it for the buck and you don't really care about your clients, you're going nowhere fast. So when we speak to entrepreneurs, that always comes through, and you can always kind of feel it and see it and hear it when they talk, that they've thought through it. They talk about it, and their actions speak louder than their words and their thoughts, is that they really care about their clients. I mean, so many CEOs, it's so remarkable. I mean, here's CEOs and founders that are running huge companies, but they're on speed dial with a lot of their important clients that can actually pick up the phone and call them. So it really resonates. And what you're doing as the leader of your business is, by taking this ADHD that you mentioned and turning it into a positive, is really a great learning experience for your entire crew and your entire organization, because they say to themselves, wow, I can turn my challenges into positives as well, keep on pushing forward and never look back.
That's absolutely right, Andy. And like new things that people are doing, like you talk to Melissa Fraim all the time, right? Because she handles all of my administrative work across the entire flagship, right? She's got a lot of jobs, And when she came on board, she did not do this for a living, right? She's a trained massage therapist. She's a esthetician. So she works in the wellness space. She can also do spray tans. I mean, she does amazing, amazing stuff. I met her because she was originally my massage therapist. And then 2 years ago, and it's important for me to get massages, really anybody. But when you have elements like autoimmunes, that's your self-love, self-care aspect, is to have a massage, right? Do things like that besides work out, watch your diet, maybe take some CBD. So, she's integral to my wellness, platform that I have for my life. So she had a situation where one of her clients in her business had, decided to walk away and do something else. And it was a big revenue stream for her. And she came to me and she told me, because we're also friends. And I said, oh, Melissa, don't worry about it. We have an opening at Spectral Avum Affinities. We could use your help. Do you think this would be something that you would want to do? And knowing that she's a mom too, her youngest daughter, she's raising from home, right? Because she didn't want to put her in daycare. She did it with her oldest daughter, Hadley, who's right under my son, as far as age is concerned. And both these girls are remarkable girls. And so I asked her if she wanted to do this. And she said, well, I don't know if I'll be able to. And I said, listen, you have the skills. I see your skills that you have. I know you have it there. It's just that no one's ever took those skills and brought it to the forefront and said, look at what you have. Look at the beautiful things you already have about yourself that you will be able to be successful. Trust me. So she was like, okay, I don't know. And we started out slow, because I didn't want to overwhelm her, because think about all these companies, even my brand, she works on CD also. So, it's a lot of work for her, but we just started slow. And she, like right now, you talk to her, like I said, all the time, you would never have known that she didn't come from this type of background, because she's amazing. And that again was taking her skills. She already knows that I have a can-do attitude. So because I do that, she then also wanted to do that because she knew I was behind her. I believe in her. And when you have people that are believing in you, just like I believe in you, Andy, and you believe in me, you can fly, right?
Yeah, I love it. You can fly. And of course, your team's great. Mike's great. Melissa's great. Everybody on your team. And what's very interesting is, whether you're in Silicon Valley or, you're in Boston or New York, Chicago, Austin, or, Latin America, Mexico City, when people talk about investing in a company, they talk about one thing now more than ever, and that's the team. What does your team look like is always the question now. Back in the day, it used to be, tell us about your technology.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we're interested in the technology, but we want to make sure you have a team that can get the technology to market and really get it done. And if you don't have a great team, what makes you think you have a great offering? So this is a great, great message that you give, DiArc. I'll call you DiArc because I know in the industry they call you that you really need to surround yourself with great people and really put together a great team. And this goes back to something that you and I spoke with on our interview together, is you're a big believer in the team and making sure that everybody on your team has a voice. And that's really important as well. A lot of times entrepreneurs only surround themselves with people that agree with them. And
right.
That's probably not the best thing to do. You want to have different opinions so that you can incorporate those into your mind. Remember, we talked about, thinking, thought,
right.
And then we talked about speech and action. You want to put it into your thought process before you speak, and then before you take action, to take all the different ideas from the people on your team and then incorporate them. And you're great at doing that. And we discovered that during our interview as well.
Thank you. Yes, it's like doing a health checkup, right? When you go to your doctors for your annual visit. In my case, we do it more than annual. We, with my teams, we do it regularly because I encourage feedback. I don't know everything. Okay. And I know I don't know everything. I'm not a developer, for example. I have a tech company. I'm the CEO of a tech company, but I'm not a developer. I can't do programming. I can't do any of those things, right? But I can do things that are complementary to what they can do. So that's why it works, right? And so I'm not afraid to say, listen, guys, I don't know what I don't know sometimes. And I need your support to tell me what I don't know, because I might make a decision based on what I think I know, but not really what it is I should know. And I'm not, please tell me if I do something wrong. Tell me if you don't agree with something, because again, I don't know everything. And I've hired you, all my people, like I always say to them, I've hired you all to give me the feedback, even from my younger team members, like Steph, who does distribution with us. She's going to be 21 years old. She goes to Widener. She's studying to be a nurse. She's amazingly smart. She's got great parents that have raised her so well. And she also works with my son, like in the summertime, the past couple of years. That's how I met her. Again, saw talent. She was on with the tech team today, syncing her watch with our telemonitoring so we could start monitoring her biometrics. So because we're doing UAT right now. So I'm teaching her user acceptance training, but I'm showing her the tech that she knows I've been behind building with the tech team. That's what you got to do, Andy. If you want to be successful, you can't think you're better than people because you happen to have 3 letters after your name, CEO.
Yeah, that's right. And you're great at finding talent, and you believe you can find talent anywhere. And I love that so much. It's a real open-hearted, open-minded approach. And when you run into somebody or you have a conversation with someone or you meet someone or you get connected to someone, if they resonate for you as a CEO, then you jump on it. And that's really the sign of a great CEO. So it's been so fun to watch your career and look into your career throughout the years. And we're expecting more great things, with what you're doing at, Affinity and everything else that you've got your hands into. But wow, what a great opportunity to come on your show and talk a little bit about it. I recently interviewed an entrepreneur, and he said, me and my team, we're inside a room and we all have a can-do attitude. And if there's somebody with a can-do attitude that's walking up to that room and wants to knock on that door, don't even knock on the door, because we're not letting you inside the room. And I love that so much.
Yes, I love that too. That's an amazing perspective. And I love to see other entrepreneurs that have the same type of value structure that we have as humans, because you want to make sure you're in good company with other CEOs, because when you're in this leadership, people look at us for, whatever it is they need to accomplish or whatever they need us to do, whether it's a federal bill we're working on down at the Hill, or we're trying to run a clinical study or whatever it is. People look at us for answers. And I like to be in company with people like myself, like you, many of the others that I work alongside in different client bases or work along with, that have that can-do attitude, because we have so much more fun, right? Think about how much more fun we have when we come into a situation positively.
Yeah, you're exactly right. This has been so fun to be on your show.
Thank you.
It brings up so many thoughts for me about entrepreneurship, and of course, watching you with what you and your team are doing. And it's very interesting that the CEOs that come on the show and the founders that come on the show, there's many things that provide a common thread in their fabric. And one thing that provides that common thread is something that you just mentioned, that when they get going, when they put their shoes on in the morning, they're always on and they get going. And I had the opportunity to interview a real worldwide leading expert in corporate culture. And he said to me something very fascinating. He said, listen, if you're a CEO or a founder and you drive to work, I think driving to work is almost becoming an old-fashioned thing now because everybody's working out of their house. But if you're a CEO or a founder and you drive to work, he said, listen, when you park, people are going to see the way you park. You better park straight. You better park in between the lines. You better not mess up. You better not park crooked, because people are always watching you as a CEO. And when you get out of your car, pull your shoulders back and stand upright no matter what kind of morning you're having, and go power through to that front door, because people are always watching the leaders and they take their cues from the leadership. And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
It's a great lesson for all of us to remind ourselves of.
Yes, absolutely. And even in your personal life, these are all things that you could carry forward if you're dealing with a situation with your school because of your kid thing, or you have something that broke in your home and it has to get fixed, or your car got damaged, you're dealing with insurance people. When you come to them in a positive manner, I just had to deal with car insurance issue because somebody did something to my Benz. And I was on the phone with them yesterday, and I'm trying to explain the situation, and I have a wrap on my car, and I'm like, listen, I have a custom wrap, so it's not going to look like, when somebody else would damage the car, because it's not paint, it's a wrap that's on the, so, I come with information and positivity rather than being mad that the situation happened. Okay. It happens. Things happen. So just deal with it. So, just doing stuff in your personal life too, you need to keep this in mind, because if you're wholeheartedly doing this, how much happier are you going to be as a person, right?
I love it. And I think I just had a learning experience from you, Christina, because I'm thinking I'm going to wrap my cars now and drive around. And I don't know if my wife is going to be very happy about it, but I'll have to pass it by her. She's the real CEO of the business and the family. But thanks for giving me that little tidbit. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy if you ever want to talk about it. Feel free to ask me any questions, because I've learned some lessons. And I'm getting ready. I just got a new vehicle. I got a Jeep. And normally I drive, Mercedes, but I got a Jeep Willie because, I want to have fun with my life. I want to take the top off. I want to take the doors off. I want to, go into the beach in the sand. So I just bought this bad boy like 3 weeks ago, and I'm going to go see my wrap guy who does amazing. Like, he works on the ball players, NBA cars and things. Like, he's really good at what he does. And so I'm going to go see him later today to talk about how we're going to transform this Jeep into a CD Jeep with my logo and all the, I love glitter. So
I love it. But maybe I'll take your wrap guy and slip him $100 bill and tell him to put the .com Magazine logo on your Jeep instead.
Yes. Wouldn't that be funny? Well, Andy, we're coming up here on our time, and my God, I could talk to you forever, just like when I was on your show. And I so much appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, which is really busy, because you're talking to all these wonderful, high-powered CEOs to come on my show today. So thank you so much.
It's been a real delight. Thank you so much. Congratulations on all your success, your great leadership, your mentoring, and your passion for life with this spark that, is so delightful to see. And we look forward to having very many more talks with you and continuing to develop our relationship. That
sounds amazing to me. Thank you again. And with that, as I always say, remember, everyone, we are the same. I am Christina DiArcangelo.